Hey everybody, Teresa here from Inspiration Cards, and I'm back to share our third card for this month's Stamp Jammies online card class featuring the Timeless Tulips stamp set. I'm excited to share this easy and fun fold with you, so let's get started. So here's this week's card featuring the Timeless Tulips stamp set. And like I said, it's a cute and easy fun fold. And it's called a Z fold because, as you can see, it makes a shape like a Z. And this is really simple to make. You use the same size of cardstock that you would use for a regular card, like I've been showing you so far. And you just fold the front part of that card base in half one more time to give you that Z fold. So what you're going to need for this week's card is your Daffodil Delight cardstock. As you can see, I've already scored it. So I've scored it in half like I would if I was just making a standard card. And then I scored one of the panels in about half one more time. You'll also have a piece of Pear Pizzazz cardstock, a large piece of basic white, and this one here I've die cut with the stitched nested labels dies, which sadly are going to be retiring with the new catalog coming out on May 4th. And the other piece that I've got here is a piece of the True Love Designer Series paper, which is from the January to June mini catalog. So to kick us off, as always, I'm going to start by folding the card base in half. And grab my bone folder, get that nice crisp fold. And that's usually where I would stop with my card base, but because this is a Z fold, I'm going to fold back along that other score line. And again, get that nice crisp fold with my bone folder. And there we have the Z fold card base. Now, I'm going to start with our stamping on the little piece of basic white, and I'm going to stamp the only phrase that would fit into this little piece here. As I've said before, this is a great versatile stamp set. It's got you covered for birthdays, for Mother's Day, just general cards if you like, or in this case, this is more of a sympathy card. So there we've got our phrase attached to our block, and I'm going to grab our Pear Pizzazz ink pad. And just like always, just going to gently tap that onto the ink pad. Get that inked up. Here we go. And I'm just going to center that as best I can in the middle of my die cut piece. There we go. And I'm going to set that aside to dry. And just for a minute, I'm going to close this up while we stamp the tulips for the inside of our card. And so just like in previous cards, I'm going to do a bit of a combination with the size of our blooms. So I'm going to start with the largest of the blooms. There we go. And in this case, I've got my Daffodil Delight Stamp and Spot. And so with the stamp being a little larger than my ink spot here, I'm going to actually flip this over. So instead of tapping the stamp on the ink pad, I'm tapping the ink pad onto the stamp. And I would do the same with a large full-size ink pad if the stamp was that big. So I'm just going to stamp this just a little bit off to the side because I do want to leave a nice little bit of room on the basic white, so there's room for anything that you may want to write on the inside. And then the other tulip, I'm going to do one more, and this is going to be the medium-sized tulip. So this guy here, and again, just like with the large one, just going to press that firmly onto my block. And then again with the Daffodil Delight, or whatever yellow that you have, we go. And this is just going to go a little bit lower and just next to that first large tulip. There we go. As you can see, this is a distinctive stamp set, so you can really see the lines on the images really nice and clearly. All right, so now that we've got our tulip blooms, now we need our stems. So I'm going to grab this one here. You can grab either one. And I've mentioned before, one of the nice things about the photopolymer stamps is that you can curve them and bend them in any shape that you want. There we go. I'm going to keep this fairly true to form and dig out our Pear Pizzazz one more time. Now, as you can see, there's not a big area that needs stamping, so I'm not going to stamp the full, I'm not going to ink up the full stamp. There we go. And again. There we go. And of course we need some leaves on there. So I'm going to grab one of the leaf images, this one here, and grab my smaller block one more time. There we go. And just right next to the stem, just on a bit of an angle. And one more time, a little bit higher next to the other one. Here we go. So I'm going to close this out because that's it for our stamping. And so I'm going to set that aside to dry while I grab in our other pieces, so we can start sticking this all together. So I've got my Stampin' Seal. That is typically my adhesive of choice when I'm doing cards. You can use glue dots, you can use multi-purpose liquid glue if you want, or whatever tape runner you have. And just cover where you need the coverage to get that solidly stuck to your Daffodil Delight card base. I find I don't need a ton with the Stampin' Seal, so I mainly just do the corners and a little bit extra across the middle. So there's our piece of Pear Pizzazz. So that's going to go on the inside of your Z fold. And then our piece of True Love Designer Series paper is going to go on the outside of our card base. So just going to line that up so we've got a nice border from our Daffodil Delight. There we go. And this should be dry enough that we can just stick that right in now. So again, just with my Stampin' Seal, with my tape runner. Okay, and this is going to be the inside of our card base. There we go. So we get a nice framed image of our tulips, and there's still plenty of room to stamp another phrase or write in a note. All right, and so now with our phrase, this is going to go right on the front of our Z fold card. I'm just going to grab a couple of mini dimensionals. You can use the minis, or you can use the full-size Stampin' Dimensionals on the back here. Either one will work just fine. And you just peel the paper off the back and then center that in your card. There we go. And to top it off, I'm going to add a few of the Pearl Basic Jewels just to add a little something to the card front. So So I'm going to add one down a little lower here. And so these are the smallest ones here that I'm using right now. Let's put him there. And I'm going to use one of the medium-sized ones as well. So there we go. So there's our card for this week's class. And as always, I do have an extra sample to show you guys featuring this stamp set. So this is one that I made, as you can tell, for Easter. And this is using the crumb cake as the card base. Here's our Pear Pizzazz again. So I've used that as the basic card mat, but I've also used it as an extra layer here. And then instead of using basic white on this, I've actually used Very Vanilla. So it gives a bit of a softer kind of tone against the cardstock as opposed to the basic white. And then this is Daffodil Delight along with Calypso Coral for our tulips. And I just stamped the phrase repeatedly just down the side of the card just to give a little bit of extra dimension, almost like some designer series paper on the side. And then I used the coordinating punch that goes with the Timeless Tulips stamp set to punch out the front largest tulip as well as a few leaves that I tucked behind the images there. And then of course we've got a few of the rhinestone basic jewels, one of my favorite go-tos. I hope you liked the cards, and there we go. Thanks so much for tuning in for this week's Stampin' Jammies online card class. Next week, I'll be back to share our last card featuring the Timeless Tulips stamp set. And in May, next month, I'm going to be featuring the Dragonfly Garden stamp set. If you missed out on signing up for the full kit, don't worry, you can still sign up for just $20 to get the card supplies mailed to you anywhere in Canada. In June, I'm going to be featuring the Friends Are Like Seashells stamp set, and there's still plenty of time to sign up for the full class kit. In the full class kit, you'll get the Friends Are Like Seashells stamp set, one ink pad, some of the Sand and Sea designer series paper, plus all the supplies for that month's cards. I hope to see you then, and in the meantime, you can check out my Facebook page at Inkspiration Cards. And whatever other projects I've got going, I always share them on my blog at inkspirationcards.com. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon.